Hello, everyone. We have somebody really special and one of my favorite person in this world. I remember when we started Tickle.live, we got in touch with Jennifer Miner, who is a licensed specialist and wellness specialist. And she has been a great support, and where we are, a lot has to do with her. So while we've been creating a lot of videos together, a lot of interviews together under this expression series, we did discuss talking about aging and sex, I think 6 months back.
Yeah,
And it has still been
been
there.
a
So
while.
yeah, I know. And finally, we've gotten an opportunity to talk about it. And it's a topic which is very close to my heart because one of the reasons why Tickle.live was created was to help, to support, and to raise the awareness that age does not mean that your body stops expecting sex or you need to stop enjoying your body. So it's going to be fun, and I'm hoping that we're going to learn a lot of stuff. So hi, Jennifer. um, I would love that if you just start with, introducing yourself. What have you been doing? And then we'll just go ahead and talk about aging and sex.
Hi, well, my name is Jen. It's a pleasure to be here talking with Shakun once again. I am a licensed professional counselor located in Austin, Texas right now. I specialize in healthy sexuality as well as mental wellness. I like to work with what I call the elephant in the room. So, what that means is it's an analogy where the elephant is some type of issue or topic that is not being addressed, but it is clearly there. So, sexuality is a big elephant in the room topic where we all realize it is infused in many aspects of our lives, but a lot of times we don't want to talk about it. Today, aging and sexuality is a huge topic because as we get older, a lot of times people, as they age, they lose their sexual identity in some ways.
Yeah.
They lose aspects of feeling sexual or functioning in a sexual way, or they are asexualized because people see this older body and they just completely detach them from their sexuality. And so I'm here to hopefully normalize aging and sexuality and hopefully provide some comfort and hope that even as we get older, we are still sexual beings. We are still deserving of pleasure. And our bodies are still ready to receive pleasure. It's just sometimes we have to change how we treat ourselves, some of the things that we do. We just have to be flexible in how we approach ourselves when it comes to our aging bodies and how we want to be sexual.
So what are few of those things that you are talking about that a person needs to do so that he or she or they still enjoy sex?
Well, one thing is just remember that aging is inevitable. We will all age. No one gets out of this life alive. Not to be morbid, but at some point we will age and our bodies will begin to change physically, as well as internally. Hormonal changes occur. Sometimes we have surgeries over time. We develop different type of illnesses or chronic diseases that might affect, how we feel about ourselves. And so just having grace with yourself and understanding that this is a natural part of life. I think some tips and tools when it comes to aging and sexuality is one, speak with a medical professional. If you're not feeling well, if something is hurting, if something doesn't feel quite right,
Yeah.
you can talk to a therapist. Therapists are great people to talk to, but I also encourage people to get a full exam done just to make sure that everything is okay. Once we know that everything is okay, then we can start addressing maybe some of the psychological reasons behind what could be happening for you. And at that point, I always say creativity and compassion, creativity, and curiosity are gateways to healing. So we have to get creative about new ways to maybe position our bodies or new ways to engage with partners who might be changing.
Yeah.
Also, there are so many tools on the market to where you can enjoy sex and also give your body what it needs in order to enjoy sex. So there are different types of materials where you can sit on things and prop up parts of your body. There are
Yeah.
toys, there are videos. There are a lot of different tools out there that can give you a visual of how to treat yourself when you're wanting to be sexual.
But it's also a lot to do with the peer pressure, because the society expects that after you've reached a certain age, you should become a sexual. So how would one take care of themselves when that is the situation, when there are a lot of things that are happening around you, more than your body, other people are telling you this is not right.
Yeah. So I think that's where some therapy work might come into play. Therapy, working with a coach, um, just speaking with someone who has a lot more knowledge around sexuality, because oftentimes we have to reframe thoughts around what society tells us is right or
Yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
what our peers and our loved ones are telling us is right or wrong.
Yeah.
And as we age, our identities shift. How we view ourselves, how we feel about ourselves change. Think about when you're in high school and then you go into college. Who you were in high school is a lot different than who you transform into when you're in college. And after
True.
college, when you're a working adult in society and you get married and then you have kids, like then you have different identity changes.
Absolutely.
For aging adults, sometimes becoming an empty nester is a huge shift. And so instead of all your energy investing in your children who are now of age to take care of themselves, you're having to reinvest that energy into yourself. And sometimes that reinvestment in yourself is completely foreign. You don't
Yeah.
know how to treat your 70-year-old self versus your 40-year-old self, right? You
True.
don't
True.
know what your 60-year-old body likes versus what your 40-year-old body used to like. So oftentimes when society or when people around us are telling us something that doesn't really jive with how we're feeling, we have to do some work around really working on what is right for us. And sometimes that involves doing a little bit of identity work and like, who am I now? And that can take a lot of time sometimes because it can be kind of a stressful process because it's almost like you're going back to your teenage years again,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and because you're no longer a teenager, you shame yourself for feeling a certain type of way or wanting to do a certain thing. And what I like to do in my work is just normalize, the fact that we are sexual beings all the way up until the day that we leave this earth. And that does not change. What changes is all the things around it. But at our core, we are still sexual beings. So if we can continue to just work on loving on that part of ourselves and giving ourselves permission to continue to explore a part of ourselves that's always actually been there, then sometimes it gives people a little more capacity
Yeah.
to take care of their own needs and do the best they can to cast out what people are saying
Yeah.
about them being sexual or not sexual for that matter.
So I'll just take it a step further. Like, till now, what we're talking about is from an individual's point of view. What about partners? Because sometimes what happens is, like in a couple, like one person might say that they are not ready to be sexually active, and the other one would be completely, they've accepted their sexuality. So there must be like a lot of friction that happens between both of them. Then how should they really work it out? Because I think that is going to be very important, especially once you've reached a stage when a lot has to do with having somebody with you.
hmm So are you asking about like mixed match desire, like one wants it and one doesn't?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So mixed match desire is really common, especially as we age and hormonally things change.
True.
Um, So, one, to me, that's an elephant in the room topic. That's something that we have to have these hard conversations around what each partner is experiencing, and also giving each partner space to express what their needs are. So sometimes we have to get creative, going back to that word creative, and curious around what would it look like if um, we cuddled tonight, if we didn't actually have intercourse.
Yeah.
Um, what would it look like if we just kind of touched each other? What would it look like if we decided to rent a hotel room and enjoy a night of pleasure and play and fun
Yeah.
once a month? That'll be like our getaway for a day or two. Sometimes we just have to find creative ways to enjoy each other and let go of frequency. Because I think frequency, when it comes to mixed match desire, can put a lot of pressure on both partners. We're not having sex enough, or you're not telling me that you want it enough, or I'm not as interested in doing it as often. And so, if we can just take frequency off and just focus more on having sustainable, healthy, enjoyable experiences, then that might give way to the mix match. Yes, there's a shift in desire from each partner, but sometimes we just have to slow down just a little bit to kind of see what the new buttons are.
Yeah.
What are the new buttons here that you may be able to engage differently with me that might help push that accelerator? Or what are some things that we can talk about, ways that we can restructure our relationship to where we're both getting our needs met? And it starts with just opening the conversation, just talking through it. And I tell people, I haven't seen someone die from a conversation around sex. So at least not in my practice. So let's just talk about it. Let's just get it out there in the open and just see what we have to work with. And once we figure out what we're working with, let's see if we can let's see if we can repair some of these pieces in a new way.
So, if I wanted to summarize this, and if there are 5 things that I can personally tell somebody who is in the stage, what would those 5 things would be?
Those 5 things. Okay. One, communication.
Correct.
2, there we go. 2, consult, talk to somebody. Well, I guess that's communication. Okay,
Yeah.
rewind. 5 things. So, one, communication. Find someone to talk to this about. Okay, whether it is your partner,
Yeah.
whether it is a therapist, a person that you can actually share something with, so you're not holding it by yourself. 2, if there is something going on within you, I always say you are the expert at you. So if you notice something isn't feeling right, something seems out of whack, get checked up. Go to a medical provider, get checked up, make sure everything is operating in the way that it needs to. 3, curiosity. What are you excited and curious about? What do you think kind of sparks that for you? Um, there's a whole spectrum of things that could turn us on. Sex is not just penetration. Sex is much broader than that. There's a lot of ways to enjoy sex that involves the whole body. So get curious about what feels good for you. 4, normalizing that everything changes. We are constantly in a world where things are fleeting. Nothing is the same and nothing stays the same, which is a great thing. And also sometimes it's an unfortunate thing. And so nothing stays the same. So acknowledge that, yes, things are changing for you. Things are changing for your partner or whoever you're living in relationship with. But also understanding that with change can come growth and
Yeah.
that there is hope here, that things can get better. And I think the 5th thing is I would say if you're comfortable, find either a sex shop locally or online. But I say locally because if you find a really good sex shop where the staff is knowledgeable, they
Yeah.
know their products, they know things that work for different types of bodies, then one, you have an ally. You have someone in the room that wants to support your pleasure. They want to support you in this part of your life. And two, you have a way to open up your scope of your own sexuality. You get to see things outside of your scope that other people are enjoying. And it gives, I think, space for us to give ourselves just a little more permission, especially in a society that praises youth and beauty and thin and fair skin and all the things, right? And if we don't fit in those categories, then we're often just forgotten.
Yeah.
So those are like my five top things off the top of my head. I know I can come up with a dozen more, but yeah, I hope that's helpful.
I've always been curious as to why did you end up becoming a counselor, or why are you doing what you're doing for sexuality? And I would love to hear, like, I would love that, our audience get to hear about it.
Oh, well, thanks for asking. I actually love this question because when I was in grad school, there was not one class on human sexuality. And I was really surprised by that because we're learning how to counsel people in the various things that they go through and the various parts of their lives. And sex was not a core part of the curriculum. So I was able to find a human sexuality class in grad school, but it was offered every other year on the weekend. And to me, that just showed like how we treat sex in society,
Yeah.
even as helpers, as therapists. And then I found out that some medical providers don't get a lot of training in sexuality either. Like it's just an off topic. And so for me, that inspired me to actually do more work and more training in the aspect of sexuality because one, I realized in my own life, I treated sexuality the same. I kind of tucked it off to the side. I didn't want to talk about it. And I realized, how am I going to help other people if I'm not comfortable talking about my own
Yeah.
issues with sexuality? So I decided to specialize in it, one, because I just want to give people hope that this is something that's natural, it's normal, it's healthy, it is a part of who you are. And there's so many spectrums of expression when it comes to sexuality. And I want people to know that they don't have to fit in a box. They don't have to be X, Y, and Z in order to be sexual. So I just really wanted to breathe life into this area and bring a lot more pleasure to the conversation versus fear, pain, unwanted pregnancies and STIs. Like it's all the negative that people want to talk
Yeah.
about. And I'm like, there's a whole other world why sex exists and why sex is actually a really great thing.
Yeah,
So,
like somebody just told me like few days back that the entire industry is based on the fear that people have with sexuality, and that's where they're making money instead of
right.
instead of celebrating what we have, which is so
Mhm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Before we end, because we are like very close to ending our interview, and I hope that we keep on doing this and we keep on, talking about multiple topics. If suppose somebody has to get in touch with you for a, for a counsel, so how should they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So you can reach me on Instagram at Sex Love Therapy. Also, my email, which I'll describe my email because it's INSO IW. So the name of my practice is INSO Integrative Wellness. And so you can reach me at Jennifer at INSO, ENSOIW.com. So Jennifer at INSOIW.com. You can also visit my website at www.insoiw.com as well. And through the website, there's a contact form. So if you forget the email, just go to the website and you can still get in touch with me there. So those are the
Great.
best ways to reach me.
Great. That sounds great. And thank you
Okay.
so much again for this.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that we are going to be talking more about sex and aging because this topic is so vast and I think we really, really should be working on it.
Agreed.
Uh, yeah. See you
Agreed.
soon. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.